Oh, Gil, you love making me laugh. That is from the little dancing queen from ABBA. That is the song that got everybody so excited. That was played during the Craig Council ejection over the weekend. Welcome to This Week in Umpiring. Alongside Gil and Bear, I am Tim McCaffrey. That pretty face, we'll talk to her in a second. To Sophia Gigante, a certified personal trainer. She's not an umpire, but she's going to explain to us a little bit later what some umpires can do to stay in shape this offseason. Let's welcome our sponsors. Of course, the Osip Foundation, where our outstanding sportsmanship is paramount. Have you ever suffered physical abuse during a game or a match? Well, Osip offers official anonymous, or off and on for short, and you can call them at 888-930-OSIP. That's 888-930-OSIP, 888-930-6747. Let me tell you what, if you're not taking advantage of Officials Anonymous and you've had some problems as you're walking off the field with abuse, maybe somebody's been saying some horrible things to you during the game, call the gang at OSIP, 888-930-OSIP, and they'll put you in the right direction. And that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There is no time off for mental health. And that's the bottom line with them. So also would like to welcome back every week Out West Officials and their promo codes for us. How about Out West Crew? That gets you 10% off your first order with Out West Officials, and CCS free ship. That gets you free shipping on anything under $75. Pick up that $7.99 Gator mask. Pick up a few of them and get them shipped to you for free. And CCS Gear Up. That's $25 off any order over $150. So if you're going to get that new All-Star Cobalt chest protector, you're already getting the best price from Out West Officials at $179.99, and they're going to knock off another $25 if you are using the CCS Gear Up, and that's an exclusive code for people right here on Close Call Sports. And let's get to our guest this week. It's Sophia Gigante. She has a new book out, and there it is on the screen, and we're so happy to have her. And a little bit of background for Sophia, so you know she's the real deal. She is a NCSF certified personal trainer and NASM certified sports nutrition specialist, and author of the book in my hand, Strength, Resilience, and Growth: How I Defied Physical and Mental Limitations and Took Control of My Future. Sophia, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. So first of all, a little bit of background. This book is an inspiration to many because you were limited, and you explain your limitations, and you've overcome a lot of them, and you run your own personal fitness studio now with clients all over. So take me through how you started with the book.
So I decided to write the book because I grew up with a lot of medical conditions. I was born with something called hydrocephalus, which basically means water on the brain. So I am what's called shunted. When I was born, I could have been mentally disabled if I wasn't shunted and the water drains in time. And the hydrocephalus caused a bunch of other medical conditions, such as something called hypotonia, which is a form of cerebral palsy, believe it or not. So I had right-sided weakness. I had years and years of physical therapy and braces on my feet, so I couldn't walk, believe it or not, ironically. I also had a seizure disorder up until I was about 15 years old. So I went through a lot growing up, and it was time for me to share my story, because once I found the strength to find fitness and find something I love to get stronger, I thought, I want to help others, which is why I became a trainer. And then once I saw how I was able to do that, it was time for me to share my story, and I thought I could inspire others even more.
Well, in full disclosure, our daughter is a client of yours. The book is SRG Fitness. And one of the things that at your book signing yesterday that I was, I didn't go there thinking, let's bring Sophia Gigante on the program. I went there just to hear the story. And I heard you say so many things, and to that is there's not a one-size-fits-all method. You've taken on clients who are disabled, who are mentally handicapped, who have, one patient there had a stroke. You've got kids, you've got adults, you've got athletes, you've got people who want to be athletes, you've got people who never were athletes, male, female, young, old. Nobody's turned down. Take me through your approach of accepting everybody and putting them on the right path to physical fitness.
So a lot of the times when, even the social media and the world we live in now, they depict fitness as just this one size fits all, that everybody has to be this big macho fitness person. They got to be lifting all this weight. And I don't believe that. And I think that the reason why I have been able to get clients of all walks of life, between special needs, older clients, younger clients, is because the way I approach fitness is that we need to find something that that specific person is going to like and want to do, even if that's a brisk walk, or if they like climbing up the stairs every day, or if they just want to learn how to carry their packages more effectively. What can they do to help them in their quality of life? And that's how I go about fitness. And it's worked for me, it's worked for my business, and I've seen such amazing results in all different aspects of my clientele.
So I know you've seen me umpire, you know umpiring, you know sports. So if you had an umpire as a client, or just the average umpire, what would be some things that you would tailor to the umpire that could be helpful, that, you know, are easy to do, things you can do around the house, as opposed to going to a gym and being embarrassed that, you know, you're not as in shape as some of the other people?
Right. So my first rule of thumb for any umpire would be, what can we do to get your heart rate up? Even if that's running in place for 30 seconds, or learning how to do a burpee, or getting down and doing some push-ups. I firmly believe that before we even touch the weights, we need to work on your own body weight. We need to see how effectively you can take your body weight, because this is stuff you're doing in your job, and applying it to making your life better and making your fitness better. So any body weight exercises can always be done at home. I've learned, even with quarantine, and now that I virtually train people as well, that body weight exercises are so effective and can be done at any fitness level, beginning or intermediate. So definitely I'd go about it that way at first.
You mentioned your Zoom training meetings. I want to touch on this for a second, because you have your own fitness studio, but now your clientele has expanded to well away from Westchester County into many other states. And I mean, you could have a client in another country. It doesn't matter where they are with these Zoom meetings. You've innovated this a lot, and now you've expanded your business to where, if there's somebody that watches this program, they could say, how do I get in touch with Sophia Gigante so I can cater a training schedule? How do people find you on the World Wide Web?
So you can go on the Facebook page, SRG Fitness, or you can find me on Instagram, srg.fit, or you can go to my website, which is just sophiagigante.com. It has all my contact information, my phone number, my email address, my LinkedIn, everything you need to get in touch with me. And from there, people just reach out and they tell me their fitness goals, and then we do this. We either do Zoom, FaceTime, Facebook Messenger, anything that works.
So, and there's the page there. Gil, great work. Now, I want to ask one last question, Sophia, because I know you're giving us a few minutes, but you have a client coming up in a couple of minutes. What is the one thing that people make the mistake? I want to start working out. I'm doing the right thing, but I know a lot of people quit after a week, a couple weeks, 3 weeks. What is the one thing, the pitfall that you can spot that will get a person to continue to work out and create a lifestyle change, and not just a change over a few weeks?
Don't look at fitness as having a specific goal. Don't walk in and say, I need to lose 50 pounds. Because if you put that goal, you want to have goals, yes, but if you put a specific goal so much like that in your head, and you don't reach that as quick as you want, you're going to give up. You need to walk in and say, I want this to be my new lifestyle, and however long it's going to take me, I want this to be an everyday thing. And going in there with that mindset, you will always be able to maintain it.
Real quick, the book is in the background, and the media tour starts today. Strength, Resilience, and Growth. Tell people where they can get the book if they're interested.
You can get it on Amazon.com as well as BarnesandNoble.com.
And it is a breezy read, and I'm telling you, it is an inspirational read. Sophia Gigante, thanks so much for everything you do for all the people. And it is it's fantastic. And as someone that knows, based on what's happened with our daughter, I certainly do appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. It is our pleasure. We're going to do some baseball plays, so feel free to click the unless you want to stick around. But I'm sure that person that was beeping in the background might have been one of your clients that watched the exercise to begin.
Thank you.
Bye, Sophia. Well, Gil, you're in really good shape, so you could tune that out. But
Sophia, she mentioned the burpees, and our coach down in Anaheim. I don't skate on the ice per se during the season, but our coach made a challenge to all players, and I'm a player. So it was to take your jersey number And whatever your number is, that's how many burpees you do. It was the burpee challenge. So I got my jersey out, and however many, what my jersey number is, that's how many burpees I do. There it is.
Don't sell yourself short, Gil. You're a tremendous slouch. How about some plays this week? We've got some interesting plays, and we're going to do a little bit stuff. We're going to do a teachable here. We're going to do a you make the call, a la the old 80s AT&T commercials from well, they're not sponsored us. I better not say any more about that and all that stuff. So let's take some plays, and we had kind of an interesting week where there were a lot of plays to look at. And a couple weeks ago, we focused on obstruction plays. Last week, we focused on steal plays. And this week, it's much more of a mishmash. Here's a play at third base, and it's David Arrieta. And this is a more than meets the eye play, okay? So if you're looking at this play from that first angle and you see a steal at third base and the umpire's, 15 feet away, you're like, man, he's way out of position. But it's an interesting play. So we've got a fairly fast runner at second base and a third baseman who was way deep, like deep to where we have to be on the grass. So this is about the best we can do on this play. So if we're just watching this play and we have no idea the context, we're thinking, oh boy, we really are out of position. But this is the best we can do, and this is the best David Arrieta can do. He's working this play through. It's pretty clear safe. He's stepping into it, which I do and I like, but you have to be able to have your head and eyes where they need to be. So he does stay on the base. It's a lot harder to see, and that's where we have to keep working through the plays. Keep working through the plays for the whole way. This goes to review. It's probably a stands, might be a confirmed, because everything's a stands these days. And Joe West is back, and he will get back to first base. Continuing on our plays this week, we take a look at a Danny Bellino play. This is, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I wonder if Danny says he nailed this play. Boy, it looks like Danny missed this one. Looks like he missed this one, Gil. Nope. Guy was about an inch shy of the base. Now, Bellino takes his plays at first base closer than many, not as close as Lance Barksdale or Joe West. So he may have actually, I don't know how he could have seen this, because, I mean, what is that, half an inch? I mean, but this is an out call because right there the ball is caught, and the runner has never touched the base until then. And Danny Bellino, with his whacker out mechanic, gets this one 100% right. And this comes back confirmed on replay. Now, the amateur at home taking a play at first base, I would not suggest being this close unless you can absolutely get everything out of your mind but the noises you're about to hear. Because sometimes if you're that close on a force, even if you're 100% still, that play is going to blow up on you. Gil, let's just make sure you can talk.
Well, I didn't mute myself for once, so I guess I'm okay.
Okay.
You're on a roll. Let's keep going.
We're going to Todd Frazier, being Todd Frazier. Luckily, Bob Davidson doesn't have to call him the B word from the dugout. It's a ground ball to first base. We got a bunch of those. And I thought, what the heck is Todd Frazier doing? And Carlos Torres, well, he takes that play not quite as well as the second baseman, who's in perfect position for the call at first base. But let's get to what Todd Frazier – pause it right there. So in OBR, we are interpreting this as nothing, as eventually Todd Frazier will not run through the base. This came back and confirmed this is not interference. But in college, with Todd Frazier running back to the base, we're going to get a forced play slide rule. Now watch what Todd Frazier does. Gil, talk about this play for a second. Could you possibly get interference on this play if this ball maybe hits Todd Frazier after he is running nearly to the grass? I would say yes, Gil, no?
Well, you might want to get a Cole Calhoun head lean into the throw type of a deal out of it, but you're looking for something that's blatantly intentional.
Well, this play is so blatantly intentional that Guerrero has to throw the ball to the right of Frazier because he goes to the left, which is what Frazier's trying to get him to do. A high baseball IQ on Guerrero.
But remember,
he's going to pull him off the base.
One thing to remember, though, if you're trying to use a base path or a base line as a justification for a call, no matter what your call might be, you are incorrect. Remember that we do not have a base path in this situation unless there is an actual tag attempt. The base path is determined on a tag attempt. This is not a tag attempt. It's a thrown ball.
And here's where the rule gets a little goofy because intentional, right? Willful and deliberate, intentional to break up a double play. Now, in my mind, what Frazier is doing is exactly, he's trying to break up a double play intentionally. Your mileage may vary on that. He's on, a step or two, a foot on the grass. He's diverted about, what will we say, Gil? Can you back it up for a second?
Sure.
And maybe, I don't know that we can put a dot on the screen, but let's see where the path begins. Okay?
Well, it looks like he's starting with his left foot inside the dirt.
And now he doesn't know the ball's already over his right shoulder. He's trying to create interference here. And now he's realized, oh, shit, the ball's in front of me. There's going to be a double play. And he kind of, instead of even sliding, he's like, I give up. Because on this play, it's supposed to be, and Frazier's a smart baseball player, he knows that return throw is going to be front side of the bag. So he's trying to set up a steal to be legal. Remember, you can't divert the slide on the steal or divert the slide and completely change direction. But if you're in the direction there, pause it right there, Gil, thank you. He can slide into the base right there and be completely legal. And,
right.
But if he diverts and goes away, and this is why Todd Frazier gives up and stands up, he would be illegal. So this play is a lot more complicated than it lets on. Now, that's the pro interpretation. Well, luckily we have Mr. Rules, Gil Imber, to tell us why this play in college might be significantly different. Gil?
4 words, force play slide rule. I really don't have much more of an explanation than that, but at the end of this play, I'm not even talking about him veering off while he's running. I'm talking specifically about the end of this play when he actually gets to second base and he doesn't make any attempt. Well, it sort of cuts off there, and let's see if I can do live editing. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. All right.
He eases up and he does try to get out of the way of the throw and all of that, and that's fine. But he doesn't slide, and this is a force play. So at those levels where you do have a force play slide rule that factors into it, that's what you get him on. At the pro level, obviously, that doesn't actually have a bearing on it. You do have the bona fide slide rule, but we're not talking about actually crashing a pivot man here. The manual talks about guidelines for enforcing and all 601J, the slide rule and all of that. It's not the same as an actual force play slide rule. And in this case, we're not actually talking about any crash of the pivot man, contact with the fielder, willful, deliberate interference, as far as interfering, contacting the guy who's trying to turn the double play, caught the ball, stepping on the base, throwing. You're not actually running into him. If there's any interference to be had on this, it would be quite similar in theory to runner's lane interference, in that the interference by virtue of Frazier veering off of his designated wherever he's going and trying, if you judge that, of course, to be willful and deliberate, which is your mileage may completely vary, but it's the closest thing I can find is runner's lane interference to that. It's solely in the sense that we're talking about the phase of the throw coming from behind the runner somewhere to someone who is at the base. And in doing so, he would be said to have interfered with the fielder taking the throw at the base. But as far as the fielder taking the throw, once he gets the throw, steps on the base and starts throwing back to first, that is where the difference between the slide rule and the force play slide rule come into play for all your different levels of baseball.
Hold on for 1 second, though. I want to get back because I feel like we might have a little disagreement here.
Yeah.
What is Todd Frazier doing? I mean, he is trying to make sure a double play doesn't happen. That is the definition of willful and deliberate. Anybody who's been on a professional baseball field can tell you he is trying to completely, and he's not doing it subtly. Look at where he's starting right there. That's 1, 2, 3 steps diagonal steps before he goes, crap. He's trying to break up a double play. And there is going to be a lot of times. I mean, how many times do you see the ball go to the right of the runner on that play? Never. And if that throw goes into, if it can reasonably retire the runner, I mean, what is he trying? I'm sorry, I got a big problem with that play. And people that don't want to make that call, that ball goes off the runner and goes into left center field. And now you've got second and third with nobody out instead of a double play. You've completely messed up the spirit of what this play should be. Your thoughts? I know you disagree with me.
My theory, for there to be interference, he actually has to interfere. The throw was successful to the second baseman.
No. I'm sorry. I was giving a hypothetical. I'm not saying.
My bad.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying that there because everybody saw the ball perfectly, right? I'm saying that when that ball hits him in the shoulder and it caroms into left center field and you've got second and third, you better be coming up with something strong. You better be having something.
Oh, okay. In that case, I must have misunderstood. In that case, I would support the theory of I can absolutely see getting one out on this. I don't know about two, but I definitely see one. I mean,
look, I'm always looking for multiple outs. And look, probably not. I think 2 outs might be a stretch here as well. However, what I'm saying is that we always look at the rules and we break down the rules, right? And we analyze what's willful and deliberate. And we'll say when that second baseman stops, and although he lets the ball hit him, he's not trying to break up a double play. He's not trying to get hit by a ground ball. He's trying to get out of the way. And there are people that argue for willful and deliberate, and I think that's wrong. However, on this particular play, Todd Frazier's purpose is to do one thing. What is it, Gil?
Disrupt the play.
No, it's willfully and deliberately break up a double play. That's what he's trying to do. Now, he's unsuccessful. Much like his at-bats in 2019 and 2020, he's completely unsuccessful. He's struck out. So that's just my thought. And this is what we do in locker rooms. If you don't want to get to the levels, do this in your high school locker room. I mean, I can tell you, we'll sit there, you'll hang out, you'll go to a bar and have a diet soda, and you'll talk through stuff. And it's great because you learn and you get better at it and you want to, understand the craft. Gil and I obviously have a little bit of a slight disagreement here, but maybe even we wouldn't call this on the field. But let's get to a place so that we understand at least that what Todd Frazier is trying to do. So when that manager comes out, when you call interference and he's going to argue that call, maybe it's I'm not even sure he wasn't willfully and deliberately trying to interfere, which would be 2 outs. To really get him riled up, really twist that screw into his side. All right, Gil, let's continue. What a week this was for our You Make the Call segment. I was trying to do this for a few weeks, and I finally found like a couple of plays. And let's take a look at this play. And after our call of the week, we'll come back to it. So this is hard to see without audio, but I'm going to tell you that's catcher's interference on the 3rd out of an inning. So we'll see it here. It'll go. Maybe we can see it on the other angle. So we have catcher's interference. He hits the glove. So we have first and second. You make the call. And we'll be back with that answer following our call of the week. And there you see the catcher's interference, clear as day. So that's this is an umpire school play. Everybody should get this, but they're always fun to do. And maybe you have a brain freeze, you need a little refresher. But that is an umpire school 101. Catcher's interference, fly ball. What's next? Back with you in a moment as we get to our call of the week. And you love it. Oh, you're going to give away the call now, Gil? Well, if you said that you should call time and put the runners on first, second, and third, then congratulations. You are a winner of our call of the week segment, or You Make the Call segment. Well done. Now, let's get to our call of the week. It's in Anaheim, where Houston's the home team, and they have a problem. But not on this play, because, boy, it looked like he was out by like a mile, but look at Marvin Hudson. This comes back and confirmed. I mean, when you're working through, see the step through of the play, see the step through getting the better angle, seeing the hand pull back, that's a keyhole view from the opposite side. Look, this play's probably easy for Marvin. He's like, man, hand was on the base like way before. Safe. And when you look at that, Gil, can you rewind it and show it from the high home again, or the initial play? Doesn't this guy look out by like 10 feet? There's the play. Boom, out. What the heck? And that was in slow motion. When you see it in real speed, it's incredible how fast the play looks, and it looks like a really bad miss. As a matter of fact, when I saw this, I was like, oh boy. And then you see it on replay. It comes back confirmed. It's a really good call. Marvin Hudson, he's been all over the last few weeks, making great calls all over the place, mostly on the West Coast for the Georgia guy. This is this week's number 51. He makes our call of the week. And a mighty roar went up from the crowd.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to say on that play is I'm seeing a lot more creativity by the runners with the swim move, and it just requires patient umpiring and know that you have those situations where someone's trying to pull back the hand or bring something in. So it just requires a wider look, more patience, and just waiting to see. The fielder might try to lunge and tag the guy, and really, if you're the defense, there's no point in going out and trying to get him. Wait for him to come to you because you're just guarding a base. I digress. But as an official, you know what you're looking for. You're looking for that front edge of the base. That's your action area usually for that play. And a lot of times when you get that wider look, you have the ability to see if they're going to do a Houdini and put the hand there only to take it away.
Wanted to touch on something that I forgot to mention earlier, Gil, and that's the Ncaa rule changes of 2021. And we're getting all these thanks to the good folks at UTD Umpires. If you're not, they're a private group, but if you're not a member of that site and you're an Ncaa umpire, you got to get on UTD Umpires. They show plays. It's just they're like us, except they're just small clips, and then they talk about it. It's just fantastic, great learning tool. But one of the changes this year is the force play slide rule. And this stems from a play at third base that happened a couple of years ago in a College World Series game. But the runner only needs to slide within the vicinity of the base. So if Todd Frazier was 40 feet away, he wouldn't necessarily have to slide, but he'd still have to veer off. That doesn't apply here. So if you're looking to say, well, hold on a second, force play slide, well, the runner doesn't need to slide. But he's, in this case, I think we'd claim that he was in the vicinity of the base. So again, go to UT Umpires, check out all the new rules, the reentry, the DH, all that new stuff, and you'll be glad you did. It's a fantastic site. I think that just about wraps it up this week.
I was just going to read it out, but you said it as well. Establishing that the other runners are not required to slide until they are in the vicinity of the base. Rationale: this provides additional clarification of the slide rule as it pertains to a batter runner and other runners. The rule is 8.4, the force play slide rule, NC2A.
Well, that about does it for this edition of This Week in Umpiring. I'd like to thank our guest, Sophia Gigante, and we'll have, if you'd like to look at her Facebook page or Instagram or even reach out and find a health plan that's right for you, we'll have her contact info in the information box on YouTube down below. For my broadcast partner, Gil Imber, I am Tim McCaffrey. We will see you next week on This Week in Umpiring. Until next time, happy umpiring, everyone.